Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, take a seat, grab a cup of something sweet. We haven't met each other. I'm excited today that we can meet. Welcome, everybody, to part two of the How to Up Your Productivity Game webinar with Hi Marley. We're going to let folks continue to join us, trickle in to today's webinar. We're glad you're here. We're excited to talk about some best practices to help y'all level up the way that you use Hi Marley today. While we are letting folks find their digital seats, a couple things that you might like to know about today's webinar. Uh, Firstly, you will notice that there is not a chat within Zoom today. That's intended. We are going to be channeling all of our questions through the Q&A button you see in that menu. So if you have any questions during today's webinar, uh, at the beginning, the middle, or the end when we do the live Q&A, you can type them in there and we will either talk about them as a group during this webinar or we'll follow up with you after the fact. This entire webinar is also being recorded. So if for any reason you'd like to reference this content later, we will be sharing it out with you. We'll share that to you via email. Welcome, those of you who have just joined us for the second part of the How to Up Your Productivity Game webinar. I'm glad you guys are here. We'll get started here in just a little bit. Lots of great content on the agenda. Lots of great best practices to chat about. And some more trivia questions too, for those of you that enjoyed the trivia questions from part one of this series. I've got some more to have you scratching your brains for. All right, folks, let's go ahead and kick things off, jump into it. Again, welcome to this part two of How to Up Your Productivity Game with Hi Marley. My name is Carter Bish. I'm an onboarding specialist here at Hi Marley, and we've got folks from all over in this webinar today. Lots of different Hi Marley customers, lots of different insurance professionals with different levels of experience in Hi Marley. But there's one reason why we're all here, and it's to learn some best practices that we can apply in our day-to-day work to make insurance more lovable for the other parties that we're communicating with and for us too, right? Here is a quick overview of our agenda. We're going to be covering 3 different topics today and then wrapping it all up with a live Q&A. What do you say? Oh, interspersed in here, hope you guys are enjoying some rhyming, having a little bit of fun with that. Interspersed amongst these topics will be polls to help you to reflect on what you might have thought about these topics before today's webinar, what you think about them now, and any outstanding questions or thoughts that you have about how maybe Hi Marley could help, or maybe a pain point that you're experiencing in your current work. Could be the topic of the next webinar. So please do engage with the Q&A bar that is on your Zoom window, and also share your thoughts via the polls that will appear. And for those that didn't hear, this entire webinar is going to be recorded and shared with you after the fact. So you'll have that. Okay. Templates is the first topic that we're going to talk about together, folks. Templates might be familiar to some of you who attended the last webinar that we did, Best Practices webinar. In part one, we mentioned how templates could be used in first contact. A little flashback to that first webinar. We could use them in first contact to speed up that first touch point with the other party. It's very rudimentary, it's very regular, it's very orderly, very repeated. Why write it out every time when I could use Hi Marley templates to do that for me? Take a look in the chat for the link to the previous webinar for any reason you weren't able to attend. It's a great watch. Templates are canned messages pre-approved by your organization by an administrator within Hi Marley and are available to every single person within your line of business or carrier, the company that you work for. These templates allow you to save time by semi-automating the composition of messages. Any tweaks you'd like to make, you're welcome to do so before sending it off to the other party. These templates are available across all of Hi Marley's platforms via integration, the web application, and mobile as well. You'll see some more links in the chat if you'd like to learn more about where templates can be found. Throughout this webinar, we'll be talking about integration or integrated users. Those are users for whom Hi Marley is within their system of record. Web app or unintegrated users who are using Hi Marley in their browser, Chrome or Edge. And then mobile users who are interacting with Hi Marley on their mobile device. So if you read that language in the chat or if you hear me use that language, now you might better understand which one you identify with. Maybe you use just the mobile app. Maybe you use an integration and the web app, or just one or the other. The resources that we're sharing will be catered to the type of experience that you have with Hi Marley. And I've got some best practices that are going to branch over top of all of those ways that you might interact with Hi Marley. What I like to call the 4 C's. You guys ready? The 4 C's are Carter, Cartier, Hartman, and Carson. Nah, I'm just kidding. No, that I am not the 4 C's of templates, I must admit. I have 4 different C's that you can use to improve the way that you use and think about templates. And here they are, you guys. Here they are. Communication, consistency, collaboration, and check-ins. Check-in. 4 C's: communication, consistency, collaboration, and check-in. Let's dive into it. The first C of template best practices is communication. I want you all to take a moment and think, what are all of the interactions that you have with insureds, policyholders, claimants today? Some of those might be with Hi Marley via SMS. Some of them are probably over the phone conversations, whether you're calling out or phone calls coming into you. For some of you, particularly those in the field, these could be in-person conversations, communications, or maybe you're even handing off documents in person. These documents could also be sent in other ways. We might be sending them via email or snail mail too. Now, why do I bring up all these communication channels? I bring them up because each one of these is an opportunity to use a template. Existing messages that you're sending through Hi Marley, how can I create templates for those messages to speed up my composition and allow me to move on to the next task faster? phone conversations. If I had a templated canned message in Hi Marley, could I streamline that conversation? Could I entirely negate the need for that phone call? In-person visits, can I speed them up with a template? Can I say what I want to say? Can I give the other party what they need in a semi-automated way? Really fun story with documents. One of Hi Marley's customers has actually taken a full sheet document that they had been giving to their customers, and they simplified it and put it into a Hi Marley template and have seen incredible value by streamlining that content and putting it into a communication channel that's loved, that's reviewed, and that's opened. Each and every one of these is an opportunity for templates. Let's think about how we're communicating today and how we might make templates for that communication. One of the best parts of templates is that they are canned, that they are pre-written, that you can click on the text and it writes itself. The most effective templates are ones made with text that's easily reused across a team, line of business, or an organization. So we might think that that's 100% of the value. It's certainly a large portion of it. I'd say that the pre-written content of a template is about 80% of the value of a template. The other 20%, I would say, comes from modifications to that template. That's the added text before or after the canned message with either a little bit of a flourish of your own liking, or maybe a little extra context that you know from having interacted with the other party on the case so far. As a whole, this is the 100% value of the template. But this is the distribution that we are expecting as we're thinking about communication that we have today. Well, if it's 100% made per claimant, per party, that might be difficult to make into a template. But if there's communication today that's maybe 50-50, maybe there's a little bit more consistency we can incorporate into that communication to make it a good fit for a template. Another thing that Hi Marley has made alongside our templates to move some of that modified content into templified content are tokens. You'll see a link for that in the chat. What tokens are variables that pull in details from the Hi Marley case, such as name, email, phone number, a reference ID number for the claim, and they will automatically fill in those fields when you select the template. So you don't need to write the first name of the person with whom you're texting in a template. If you put in a token, Hi Marley will automatically update that for you. And the more we can make the template consistent, the easier it's going to be for you to send out. And we also want to make sure that it's relevant, it's personal, and it provides a lovable experience for the other party. And that's where those modifications can make the whole experience more lovable, right? But what good is a template in our minds? Only so much, right? It needs to get into the Hi Marley system. And who can put templates into Hi Marley? Well, that's the Hi Marley administrators. At your organization, this could be a department head, this could be your direct manager, this could be a line leader. It varies from organization to organization. But knowing who that person is and striking up a partnership, collaborating with administration and administration with users is how we make good templates. Insurance professionals on this call, you know the sorts of conversations you're having. You know the sorts of messages you're sending. Administrators, you know the type of voice that you would like for your organization to have so it remains consistent and professional. You know whether or not other teams might benefit from a similar template. By bringing this know-how together, we can make really, really valuable templates for everybody to use. We have to know, how do we request templates? And we need to know what sort of templates are being used. For folks who are administrators on this call, I encourage you to take a look at the message template management link I will put in the chat. How can you manage templates within your organization? Also consider taking a look at My Org Insights administrators to see what templates are being used. And insurance professionals on this call, do you know who you can ask to create a template? If yes, you're off to the races. But if not, consider asking your direct manager so that everybody can benefit from your ideas. Your innovation is important, your ideas matter. Want to make sure that they get to the person who can help you best. All right, communication, consistency, collaboration, one more C, and it's not Carson. What is it? It's checking in. Checking in encapsulates all of the C's that we've talked about so far. Times change, communications change, the content of our communication gets modified over time. So check in with yourself, check in with your team, check in with the templates in Hi Marley to make sure that they are still providing you the value that they should. Maybe a template could be tweaked a little bit or improved. Maybe a new template is in order and we need to go and speak with an administrator to have one created for us. It's been a little while since you took a look at templates. Hop into Hi Marley, hop into the web app, hop into the mobile app, hop into your system of record and take a look around and start that conversation so that you can see the benefit of templates. Again, how are you communicating with other parties today? What communications are consistent? And what communications could I make more consistent? And create templates alongside other employees at my organization. And let's not set it and forget it. Let's continue to think about templates and how we can improve existing ones and create new ones too. All right. Did you all know that you can schedule message templates? Whether you are integrated using Hi Marley's web app or in the mobile app, when scheduling a message to go out at a future date or time, you can use a message template as the text. By clicking on the scheduled message button in any of these areas, you can choose an existing template and all the variables will be filled in. And when you schedule it, it will be as if you pre-wrote it yourself. This is an awesome way to unlock even more efficiency than either of the features can do by themselves. And this is an excellent way to send a message on a particular case where you might be reminding someone of something that's about to take place. Maybe you're reminding someone about something they owe you, they haven't gotten back to you yet. Whether it's proactive or reactive, templates can help you schedule messages more effectively. I will put some links in the chat if you're interested in learning more about how you can do that via the web or via integration. Okay, we've learned a lot, haven't we, folks? It's about time we do a poll together and some trivia too. So you'll see a poll appear on your screen shortly with a question about your previous understanding of templates, now your understanding of templates, and maybe whether or not you knew if you could schedule message templates before, and any other feedback you have. So please take a couple seconds and fill that poll out for us. Okay. Additionally, we have a trivia question. Today's webinar has 3 trivia questions. This is the first of the 3. As of this month, what is the total number of templates that exist across all of Hi Marley's customers? Give you guys a minute to think about that and fill out the survey. Again, as of this month, what's the total number of templates that Hi Marley's customers have available to them, that they've been creating, that they've been using? How many templates do you think it is? I'll give you guys a hint at 30 seconds if you're not sure. If you're scratching your head. Little hint for you. Hi Marley has 97 customers. How many templates do you think each customer has? What does that come out to? Do you think that that is 10 more seconds? Go ahead and wrap up that poll as well, everyone. Thank you for sharing your feedback with us, where you were, where you are, what you knew, and what it is we might do to help you in the future. As of this month, the total number of templates across all Hi Marley customers is 2,818. Comes out to almost 30 templates per organization, which is excellent. That is a really, really great number. And hope that after today, after learning a little bit more about templates, and thinking about how we can collaborate within our organization to increase more efficiencies for our team, that this number is only going to grow. Anybody hit it right on the dot? Have to let me know afterwards. All right, let's jump into the next section. Media. There are 2 different types of media that Hi Marley ingests or sends, and they are inbound media and outbound media. You might see these as previews within Hi Marley's web application. You might see them as links within a system of record, or as files in the mobile app. We're going to talk about these 2 different media types and discuss some best practices that you can employ to better and more effectively use and talk about media with other parties. And be thinking as we go through about what you think about media today, what content we're talking about, what you might be learning, and also if there's anything else we can do to help you move the needle on media for you and your team. Some of you on this call use Hi Marley in an integrated fashion. Media that is sent into Hi Marley is then sent to your system of record. This is either done automatically as soon as the media is sent in, or it's done in a batch format. This is a really, really great way to interact with this content. Ultimately, the media needs to get into the proper filing cabinet and needs to be sorted very mindfully for the purposes of audit. This is super awesome to see employed, and encourage you all to, if you're interested in learning more about this, take a look at the link we'll put in the chat for integrating with media. Again, this can be done one-off, this can be done in an automated fashion, or even at a case closure. For those of us who use the web application, these images might be pretty familiar to you. We see a preview of them in the thread, but what you might not have known is that Hi Marley has a media bin along the right-hand side, where every single media file that's sent into you is organized. If you're right now downloading media files one by one, getting carpal tunnel, well, let me save you a doctor's visit. Head on over to the media bin in the bottom right corner and click download all instead. That will download all the media items that have been received to date. And if you open the zip file that's created, it will expand into all of the files. One click, all the files. Huge win. Huge win. Highly recommend that as a best practice to web app users on today's call. And don't forget that all the media files that are sent in will also end up in the transcript, which is a living, breathing document of every single message and media file that's been sent on or sent to the case to date. You can access that via the Actions menu in the web application, the case transcript. You can take a look at the link in the chat for transcripts on how that interacts with media. For folks who are using mobile, it's one less thing for you to do. You can see from the images here that the mobile app is connected to the Hi Marley database, whether it's the web app or via integration. All of that content is going to end up in the place where ultimately it needs to go, or at least a little bit closer to it. You don't need to access transcripts from your phone. Hi Marley is going to put it where it can be downloaded or where it can be automatically pulled from via integration. One less thing for you. That's another win in my book. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Hi Marley's mobile app, you can take a look at the link in the chat available to all of our customers. It is excellent. Excellent way to use Hi Marley on the go. Now, some of you might have been thinking, Carter, there is something that really gets in my way with media. And it's sometimes the fact that media comes in poor quality. I ask for media and I get it, and it comes in fuzzier than my childhood cat. What am I supposed to do about that? Well, I've got a best practice for all of you that I'd like to share. Firstly, I'd like to talk about why media may be coming into Hi Marley in a poorer quality than we might expect. On the right-hand side, you see the mobile phone, where the images are originating from. In the center, we are representing the towers, the mobile carriers, such as an AT&T or a Verizon, that are transmitting the SMS message for us, or the MMS message, the media message for us. And then we've got a desk adjuster there on the left. What can happen when a lot of media files come through a cell tower? They can get compressed. They can become lower quality, lower fidelity. And by the time they reach Hi Marley, they pale in comparison to what they were on the other party's device. And that's no good. Well, now we're asking for the other party to repeat themselves, to send it again, to send it in another way. And that's not a very lovable experience for anyone. And that's where my best practice comes in. The best way to avoid poor image quality is to request that media come in small batches, where we might like to select all the photos that are relevant and send them all at once. That message being sent is more likely to be throttled, to be made smaller, to be made fuzzier, to be made lower quality. So what we want to do is ask for media to be sent in batches of 2 or 3. Doesn't need to be one at a time, but even in these smaller batches, it'll reach the tower and then head on through to you without being like a shag carpet when it reaches your hands. So again, consider requesting media in smaller batches. We might change, for administrators on this call, welcome messages to include that sort of text, or we might change templates, do that too, to semi-automate this request. But the better quality media we get, the faster cycle times can be, the less back and forth you need to do, and less phone tag that you need to play. That's what we're all about here at Hi Marley. Right? So inbound media, a couple different ways we can get it, couple best practices we can think about for improving the way that we interact with it. Outbound media is the other form of media that you might interact with. And outbound media is a file that is hosted on Hi Marley's cloud after it's uploaded by you and available to the other party in a link. For security, these files are only available for 7 days. This is a feature of outbound media for security purposes. So I want to encourage us to think about outbound media as quick reference media. What do I mean? Well, if we're communicating via SMS using Hi Marley, how could I use outbound media to show a document that I might be talking about or texting about with the other party? Say, yes, I'm actually referring to this shown here on this page of this PDF. I can think of many phone call that I've been on in a past life where having a diagram, having something that we can look at together could have helped out a lot. We say we're looking at the same thing, we're on totally different pages, we're looking at totally different things. What if I could send a link to a document and I was certain exactly what we were looking at? Little to no confusion. What if either before, during, or after an in-person visit, I could send another copy of a document, a form, to someone so that they could take a quick look at it so that they could be reminded of what's needed, or maybe even reminded of what they need to go and find. Regardless of the channel, using outbound media, you can speed up the communication channels that might otherwise be bogged down with a lack of visual content or clarity. Think about how you might use outbound media to speed up conversations that you're having. When things are getting confusing, when understanding seems to be the only thing that you don't have, remember, you have outbound media, and it's great for quick references for you to share with the other party. And take a look, if you haven't already, at the links in the chat for outbound media in the web and also our mobile app. If you'd like to learn more about how you can use these, we'd love to direct you there. So please do. Did you know Hi Marley has released an image redaction feature to early adopters, customers of Hi Marley who want to try out the feature a little bit ahead of its general availability to all customers. Image redaction allows users or supervisors to redact sensitive images manually. You can see an example of that happening on the left-hand side here. And these redacted images, they're removed from the conversation and the transcript. And if you need to, of course, you can view that content. Users who are granted necessary permissions can do so. And there's an audit log too, so we know who looked and when they did so. This is a super exciting feature. It's one that I've heard a lot of customers talking about in the past, so we're excited to have it in some of our customers' hands today in the web application. During our next section, I'm interested in knowing a little bit more about what you think about image redaction. Are you excited about that? Is it something that you find helpful or you think that your team could use? Share that information with us. We would love to know. And we'll also share a link if you want to learn more about image redaction today. All right, poll number 2, everybody. Go ahead, take a look at your screens. You're going to see a Zoom poll pop up about media. What was your confidence with media before? What is it now? And what do you think about the ability to manually redact media? Is that something that you're excited about, that you're interested in? And share with us any other feedback that you have about media and how we might create another webinar to talk about media, maybe a drill into something specific, a pain point that you have, or anything else, maybe a workflow that you're experiencing. We might have our customer team chat with you about. Okay. Next, Trivia question while we're filling out that poll is about media, as you can guess. In the last 7 days, how many JPEG files were sent to Hi Marley? How many JPEG files were sent to Hi Marley? These are image files. What do we think? How many JPEG files? Could be a lot. Could be 10,000, maybe more. 20, maybe pushing 30. It's just 7 days. Not too long. Hint says that JPEG files made up 97.58, very specific percentage, Carter, of inbound media during this time. That's certainly a large percentage, but how much actual media was there? Well, as you're thinking about what you believe the answer to this trivia question is, also make sure that you filled out your poll, letting us know where you were, where you are, what you think about image redaction, and any other thoughts that you have, ways that we can help. In the last 7 days, the number of JPEG files sent into Hi Marley, 196,690. 690. An absolute ton, multiple tons, actually, technically speaking, of JPEG files coming into Hi Marley just in the last 7 days. I was astonished when I saw this number. I knew that Hi Marley was used pretty effectively for media, but this knocked my socks off. Great guesses, everyone, and thanks for filling out that poll. All right, next section that I want to talk about with everyone is case management. This section here is a step back a little bit from the way that we've talked about best practices so far. To date, all of our best practices have been around a particular feature, right? Around how we can take something within Hi Marley and use it more effectively. Case management as a topic is going to focus not on a feature, but on your workday as a whole and how Hi Marley plays into it. We know that your workday is full and it is a slog sometimes. You've got tasks from yesterday, from last week that you're trying to catch up on. You've got new phone calls coming in all the time, questions about the claim, maybe ones that you just answered earlier that day. You have to do investigation into that claim. Not to mention your boss is tapping you on the shoulder with questions or requests. Sometimes you don't even speak the language, no fault of your own, of the other party you're trying to talk to. And you've got to manage third parties as well. So where are we going to find time to document a claim and settle the claim? Well, maybe we've got some space in our leg where I always save room for dessert. Also keep some spare time for claim settlement in there. So when we're thinking about your workday, we know there's a ton going on. How can we think about Hi Marley best practices for case management, giving you more time and energy in your day? We had 4 C's for templates. We've got 3 P's for case management, you guys. Let's prioritize, let's plan, and then let's put it into practice. Prioritize, plan, put into practice. Some of you might want to give me a hard time and say that, Carter, that's actually 4 P's, to which I hush, hush, hush. There's only 3 blue P's here, so we're just going to keep going. Okay, so that first P, prioritization in case management. What does that mean? What that would mean for you is when you're sitting down to start your day, your clock starts, reviewing Hi Marley, your voicemail, your inboxes, first thing. That's what you do right off the bat. So we aren't doing the tasks themselves that might be associated with the emails we've received or the phone calls that we have. We are simply surveying all the channels: phone, email, in person, mobile, integration, or web, wherever we are. Let's take a look at everything that's there, all in the effort of prioritizing. Hi Marley's got a brand new inbox for those of you using the web application. You can take a look in the chat if you want to learn more about that. How that can help you to review your cases more effectively. Why is it going to help me, though, in my prioritization? Well, it's because you can identify issues that might be redundant. Just because you received a phone call doesn't mean it's the only phone call you received from that person on that topic. By reviewing all of our channels, we can see overlap in the communications we've received, the issues that are at hand. You don't need to duplicate work or stress that you have 100 tasks when really maybe you only have 60. And 20 of those 40 were just duplicates. Okay. So let's think about how we can identify overlap. And also, you can leverage Hi Marley's message intelligence. For those of you whose organizations have the coaching bundle, Hi Marley has badges that identify if a message has come in with negative sentiment, persistent delay, or a threat of litigation. So we can prioritize those issues that we've confirmed aren't redundant to the top of the list. They're the fastest burning, the hottest burning fires. We can see that via integration. We can see that via our web app and a soon to be mobile app as well. Take a look in the chat if you want to learn more about needs attention and needs action. How Hi Marley is able to intelligently know when a question is unanswered or when a negative sentiment message comes in. Kind of crazy. We've got some resources you can learn more about. And let's also think about how we might anticipate issues that might come up later in the day. If we can nip things in the bud, everybody's going to be happier for it, right? So we're looking at a holistic picture of our work across all channels. We're identifying redundancies. We're using Hi Marley to prioritize the issues that we need to address first. And we're thinking ahead too about things that we might need to do, tasks that we might need to complete, or messages we might need to send later in the day as well. And if that sounds like planning, it's because that's the next thing that we're doing. We should create a proposed communication plan. Who am I talking to? What am I going to say next? You might consider scheduling messages to go out. That might be the best way to communicate it. Create a plan once you have your prioritized issues. What's the best way to communicate what it is that needs to be said? Think over your day and think, okay, how can I communicate more efficiently here? Be thinking about a plan and be thinking about efficiencies. Maybe we can use message templates that already exist to speed up the messages that I need to send. Oh, I have a template for a rental extension. I'll go ahead and send this. And I've got 3 people that asked me about it. So I'll go ahead and send those templates 1, 2, 3. Well, I already have it in mind. Triage. I've got 5 injured workers, and each of them I need to know about their back to work status. I need to know at different times. So maybe I'll go ahead and schedule a message for each of them at a different time. But I'll do all the scheduling at once. You can take a look in the chat at some information about templates if you guys want to learn more about how you can create those, how those work. We talked about that a little bit earlier as well. How can we schedule messages? Take a look in the chat if you want to have some resources about scheduling messages for your day, how you can plan it out right. Think about those efficiencies. For those of you that have multi-party texting available to you in the web application, one efficiency is communicating one thing to multiple people who are involved in the same claim. It is a large hassle to keep multiple parties in the loop about what's going on in a claim. Multi-party texting allows you to bring those parties into one thread. So you say it one time to the whole group. If you're using multi-party texting, if you have it, there's a resource we'll put in the chat for you to review. And maybe you've never heard of multi-party texting before, but sounds kind of interesting. I have to manage lots of people on the same claim all the time. What would that look like for me? Take a look in the thread. And the last category here, folks, put into practice. We've prioritized, we've planned, we know what's most important, we know how it is we want to say it, we've thought about how Hi Marley can help. It's time to do it. It might take a little bit of time to prioritize. It might take a little bit of time to plan, but it's going to be worth it because you're going to be responding to the highest priority messages first. And when appropriate, socially or emotionally, we want to do that via text, the fastest way to reach out, and it's easier for you to manage responses. We want to be clear and consistent in the messaging that we are sending or that we are saying, because we don't want to handle follow-up questions if they're not necessary. Think about how templates can help with that. If we aren't using templates, it's possible we might forget to write something in, but templates don't forget. I can guarantee you that. And also consider how you can limit your out-of-office messaging with auto replies to avoid cases that used to be active and maybe aren't anymore. You aren't getting that efficiency that you used to be able to out of your Hi Marley case because it's just not being used. They aren't texting anymore. They're always calling in and leaving voicemails, and I've got to play phone tag. You can avoid that out of office time by using the inbox to cover for someone. If you've got a backup buddy that you're looking after their cases for, do them a solid and keep up on their Hi Marley cases. And you can also reassign or assign secondary operators to cases too, so that multiple parties are notified while someone might be out of the office. You can see that in the web app, the integrated state here, and you can also do the same on the mobile app. We'll put a link in the chat if you want to learn more about assignment and think about how you want to keep that case in someone's hand. You want to receive and append to those messages. If somebody drops the case, well, we aren't going to be able to get that efficiency anymore, right? So Hi Marley's here to help you communicate more efficiently by prioritizing, by planning, and by putting that into practice. That's where the rubber meets the road. We hope that you all are going to see that you have less to catch up on, you're going to be better prioritized, you'll be able to answer questions more effectively, you're going to be able to understand the issues that are going on a little bit easier, you've got a little bit more time to read, sit, and think. Fewer language line calls too, you're leveraging translation through Hi Marley, and more. 3 Ps turns into a W, doesn't it? And you guys are the winners when you manage your cases this way. Prioritize, plan, put it into practice. All right, tell me, folks, in this poll, how did you feel you were doing with case management before today? After talking about it, how do you feel about it now? And what are some things that are getting in your way that make it tough to manage cases today? Let us know in the poll below. Once you've had a hand at that, have a hand at this trivia question. What is the percentage that Hi Marley can reduce your inbound voicemails by? What's the percentage that Hi Marley can reduce your inbound voicemails by? We're thinking about case management. We're busy bees. The percentage I've got here is one of the reasons why you want to use Hi Marley as much as you can. Much as you can. I'll give you a hint here in a moment about just how much Hi Marley can help. Go ahead and fill out that poll. Be thinking, what is this double-digit percentage? Even if I was handling 10 voicemails a day, just 10% would be great. Just one fewer voicemail could really do me a solid. What percentage can I really reduce your inbound voicemails by? It's pretty considerable. Hi Marley, if used well, like we've talked about today, we're employing these best practices, can reduce your inbound voicemails by 60%. 60%, you guys. My heart goes out to you thinking of the number of days that you might have spent just digging out of your voicemails, only to leave work and to come back to a voicemail box that's full again. Marley's here to help you. And I hope that our best practices today can lighten your load. And also, I hope that you can lighten your load of questions that you might have now during our live question and answer section. So if you've been burdened with a question that you haven't put into the question and answer space in Zoom, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and put in those questions. And we also want to hear from you about this webinar as a whole. Go ahead and fill out our post-webinar survey. We'll leave that up for you for the duration of our time together here. What did you think about today's content? Was it helpful? What suggestions do you have? We made today's content from suggestions from insurance professionals like you. So we want to hear from you today, how we can help, what we can talk about, what is on your mind. So go ahead, put in some questions, fill out that survey, let us know what you're thinking about. And we'll go ahead in a moment and we'll start answering some questions from you. Right. First question is, can users have their own templates within Hi Marley? It's a great question. Hi Marley's templates are available to everyone within Hi Marley at your organization. They are not currently configurable per person. You can't make your own. But I do recommend that you use that third C, that collaboration, and you start up a conversation with your direct manager to the Hi Marley administrator at your org. If there's a template that you need, chances are pretty high that somebody else at your organization or on your team could benefit too. So speak up, speak out, and share the ideas that you have. Other questions? One in the Q&A from Kathy. Kathy, thanks for your question here. You talked about scheduling messages, but I don't see we have that capability. That is an excellent question, and could be best discussed with your direct manager and your Hi Marley administrator. Scheduling messages can be done through the mobile app, can be done through the web app, and also can be done through most integrations. Please do take a look at the resources shared in the chat to learn more about those. Awesome question. Another question here. This one is about Outbound media. How long did you say that outbound media uh, would, the link would exist? That's 7 days. Outbound media links created with the file will exist for 7 days before they will expire. Great question. Another one, this one's about the Hi Marley number. The question is, how can I find the Marley number that is used for a conversation? The Hi Marley number that's being referred to here, that is the number that the other party, the insured, the claimant, the injured worker, is receiving the text from. And always going to be different than the landline that you might otherwise be using for phone calls that's at your desk or connected to your computer. You can find the Marley number listed under the Detail tab within Hi Marley. Great, great question. Jay's got a great one about what type of media can be sent. A comprehensive list of all the media types that are available are in the link about media that we talked about a little bit earlier. You can certainly send a PDF such as an estimate via outbound media. That's for sure. Common ones that I see are PDFs, documents that otherwise have been sent via the mail or via email. Great questions. Keep them coming, everybody. Let us know what's on your mind. Fill out the survey about today's webinar. We appreciate hearing from you. A question here talked a little bit about assignment, reassigning cases. What are the different assignments that a case can have? It's a great question. We're thinking about how we can collaborate with one another more effectively, how we can manage a case better across our entire team. We've got to be thinking about assignment. There are two different types of assignment that you could have. You could be the primary operator. That is the person for whom notifications will be sent to and out of office messages would apply. And there's also secondary operators. These operators are also receiving notifications for messages that are sent on the case, but whose auto reply messages don't apply. They're often thought of as temporary assignees or collaborators, but you and your team are welcome to reimagine what that looks like best for you. Again, primary operators, secondary operators. You can have one primary operator and any number of secondary operators on a case. And you can always reassign that primary operator responsibility to another person who has a Hi Marley seat, who has access to Hi Marley on your team. Question in the chat. This might be one of the last ones that we answer here today about notifications. Very relevant question regarding case management that we talked about. So, question here, can Hi Marley notifications be integrated into Guidewire activities? The answer to that is yes. Hi Marley has an out-of-the-box accelerator, which is to say a pre-configured integration that can be installed, and that does include notifications from Hi Marley into Guidewire activities. There are also lots of other notification types that Hi Marley offers through our mobile app, through our web app, whether they be audio chimes, browser pop-ups, email, your phone buzzing, and integrations too. Super important to stay on top of those in order to stay on top of your case management. And with that, folks, we're going to wrap up today's part 2 of the how you can improve your productivity using Hi Marley, leveling up the way that you're using the tool. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it with me, my jokes and my best practices too. We hope that today is helpful for you, and we send you off to explore Hi Marley in new ways, to try out new things, and ultimately to make insurance more lovable for everybody. Thank you so much for attending, and cannot wait to see you all in the next webinar. Take care, everyone.